Hi, my name is Bobby. I'm an alcohol and drug addict. I've been sober for 22 years. When I was about 10, I was always wanted people to pay attention to me. So one day I went and grabbed champagne that I saw, and somebody was somebody came at me and told me no, but I drank it later anyway, and then I started getting in trouble, and that was okay with me because it meant that I was getting attention. I was the only deaf person in my family. I had to work hard to communicate with them with lip reading. And I started drinking beer, and because of beer, I felt more connected to my siblings, my brother, because it didn't matter if I was deaf or not. We had beer in common, so we were able to connect through that. And as I got older, it was easier to get beer. People would just buy it for me. During the week, I would drink about 1 to 3 beer, about 3 beers, and on the weekends, I would drink more. I would drink about a case. And I would really feel like I belonged when I was drinking. Everyone in my family drank, not as heavily as I did, but they all were drinking. As time went on, I started to drink more and more. When I would meet people who weren't deaf, who I'd want to become friends with, it it was something that we had in common, that we both liked to drink, and then we would kind of compete with each other, trying to drink as much as possible. And I would be really drunk, and I would still drive. I never got caught, but I would drive anyway. I was lucky that I never got caught. And then after, as time went on, I started drinking hard alcohol. I would drink schnapps, and then I would drink whiskey. I would take shots of that, and I would get really drunk. But my parents and the other adults in my life didn't know that I was drinking as much as I did. But my siblings and my friends, they knew. They were drinking with me. We'd be having fun and hanging out, and my parents didn't know anything about that. I remember one time I was drunk and I was driving, and I lost control of the car and spun around in the middle of the road. I was lucky that there was no cars around me and I didn't get into an accident. But I just really didn't care. Like with work, one time I just wouldn't show up to work, and one time I went out on a boat and got really drunk and was swimming around. Could you imagine it? And then the next day I just went to work, and they my manager was like, "Where were you? You weren't here yesterday." And I said, "Eh." And he said, "You're fired." And I said, "I'm not fired. I quit." And that was just kind of how I my my behavior then. I just didn't really care. And then I wasn't only drinking as well. I started smoking pot. And I would start drinking more too. During the week, I would drink about a case of beer, and then on the weekend, I would drink another case. And I was also smoking pot during that time as well. And then after I graduated high school, I went to a deaf college in New York, and it was great. There's so many deaf people to socialize with, but during the during the first quarter, I only focused on schoolwork, and my GPA was a 4.0. And then the second quarter, I joined a fraternity, and I just was partying and hanging out with my friends, and my GPA plummeted from a 4.0 to a 0. I also got introduced to other drugs like cocaine, pills. I never shot any drugs up, but I did do other drugs. And I would just hang out with my friends and just drink and do drugs. And then I started I started stealing to help my habit. I even would go and buy cocaine and then bring it back, cut it up, and sell it. And I was drinking a whole case of beer a week, every week, and smoking and doing coke. And I just didn't care. I felt connected to the people around me because of that. And I didn't care that my health was plummeting. I, I just kept drinking. And I have I had three groups of people that I interacted with. The first group, they knew that I drank, but they didn't know how much I drank. And the second group, they knew how much I drank, but they didn't know about all the drugs that I was doing as well. And then the third group knew everything because we were all doing it together. And it was really tough trying to manage all three of those groups and moving from partying and then acting like I was normal and changing from group to group. It was very stressful. And then one day, one of my friends came up to me and said, "You need help." And I said, "Who's going to help me?" And he said, "Your family will help you." And I said, "No, my family doesn't know about everything that I'm doing with the partying and the drugs." And he told me, "Your family will, because your family is blood. They're going to help you." So I was really nervous and paranoid, but after thinking about it, the next morning I called my parents and told them that I needed to talk to them. And I was so nervous, but my friend came with me, and we went to my mother and father's house, and we sat down. I was so anxious, I was sweating, and my father asked, "Are you alright?" And my friend responded, "No, he is not alright. Tell them." And so I said, "I think I might have a problem." And I don't know what to do. And they said, "Well, you should go to therapy." And I said, "Where?" And they said, "We'll figure it out." And they started calling different places until we found a rehab center in Washington, D.C. So I went there.